If you're energetically sensitive, then you've probably been feeling this full moon in Scorpio approaching. You might be feeling anxious. You might be feeling restless. You might be feeling a little bit irritable. You may just be feeling as though something is coming, but you're not really quite sure what that something is. And the reason for this is because this full moon in Scorpio is happening in a T-square to Pluto, which makes it that much more intense. A T-square is when we have one planet in a central point squaring two other planets. In this case, the two other planets are the sun and the moon in opposition, as they always are during a full moon. And that planet squaring, that planet adding all of that tension, is Pluto, the ruler of the sign of Scorpio. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what that means, as well as a couple other facts about this full moon that will help you to navigate these energies and to navigate whatever it is that's coming up within you as a result of this powerful portal or full moon that we are experiencing. When we're working with the energy of Pluto, we are working with the energy of the underworld of our own being. We're working with our unconscious. We're working with our deepest emotional needs and desires on an evolutionary level. So we're working with a lot of past life energy here. Pluto represents the conditioned self through many, many past life experiences and the evolutionary intention of our soul in this lifetime as a result of everything that we've experienced before. Pluto also represents our power, that spiritual power that we're able to tap into when we are willing to dive into the underworld of our own being. And that's exactly what's going to be happening during this full moon. This full moon has the potential to bring up within us very, very deep emotions and very deep trauma signatures that are lifetimes and lifetimes in the making. So don't be surprised if you are getting triggered easily, if you have all of these emotions welling up in you almost seemingly out of nowhere, and you can't really quite place them. The reason for this is that these emotions and these, like we said, trauma signatures, as I called them, are things that we've brought with us, residue, if you will, from lifetimes and lifetimes of experience on this planet, and perhaps in other planetary systems as well. And it is coming up within us because it's ready to be healed. It's ready to be, I wanted to say seen, but it may not be fully seen. It may simply be experienced. And what I mean by that is we may experience it simply as an emotion, simply as a charge within our energetic field that we are being called to allow to move through us so that it can be released. It is possible, I'm feeling for some people during this full moon, that they may have an experience of a spontaneous recall of a past life memory. And if that happens for you, just know that that is meant to be witnessed and understood so that it can be released. And when I say understood, that doesn't necessarily mean like it's going to make sense. However, if we can take that memory and we can apply that memory to situations in our lives, to themes in our lives that seem to play over and over again. You know, the typical thing when we're talking about karmic relationships, karmic experiences, it's like a tape that keeps playing over and over again. And the particular people might be cycled out of the storyline, but another player, another person just comes in and seems to fill that same role. All right, that's the energy here. So if we have these memories coming up, we want to say, okay, what would this explain about my current life experiences? What would this explain about the challenges that I've had in different areas of my life, the challenges that I've had in relationships, the challenges that I've had in my family, the challenges I've had when I've been pursuing my career or trying to put myself out there in the world? Just work with that energy and see what comes up for you. Because for many people, this is like a core wound. That is a core wound, a core trauma that is coming up to the surface so that we can understand it within the larger framework of this lifetime. And as we allow this process to unfold, begin to heal this across many lifetimes and finally release this heavy, heavy karmic signature. This is also a time where others other emotional truths within us are going to well to the surface as well. But that past life piece, I think, is extremely powerful. And like I said, not everybody is going to experience it like a memory of a past life. It may just be a memory within your body. I'm really being reminded of Eckhart Tolle. He talks about the pain body and how it's this matrix of energy around your body, this energetic signature or frequency as a result of past traumas that gets reactivated when we get triggered by a person, by a situation, by a place that vibrates or resonates with that trauma signature or frequency. And he says when this happens, our pain body gets activated. And it's almost like we go into a different level of consciousness because our psyche is returning to that experience, even though if we're not consciously aware of it. So some of us may just notice this happening. We may just have those deep emotions and that pain body, that pain response, that trauma response triggered within us. So you want to be really, really gentle with yourself. And when that comes up, the thing that is going to be the most healing, besides allowing ourselves to feel it, is allowing ourselves to be fully present in a state of unconditional love. When we look at the energy of a Tsquare, and this is, by the way, the number 2 thing that I want to share with you that you can understand about this full moon. When we're looking at a Tsquare, the resolution to that energy is in the polarity point or the opposition to the focal point of the Tsquare, which in this position or this situation, like we said, is Pluto. So if we look opposite Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius, we see 2 degrees of Leo. And I'm placing this at 2 to 4 degrees of Leo because the full moon is happening at 4 degrees. So this Tsquare with Pluto is 2 degrees off of being exact. So 2 to 4 degrees of Leo. And if you have a planet or anything significant in your chart there, this planet, if you understand your natal chart, could help you to understand how to work with these energies, how to release these energies. If you want a personal reading or any of the myriad of things that I do, all of my information is in the description box below. But it's the energy of Leo that we want to look at here. So the way to work through and heal this energy is by embracing that open-heartedness of Leo. So allowing that beautiful open heart to alchemize this energy. This is the energy with Leo that represents the inner child. It also represents the 5th house, which is led by the energies of creativity, of self-expression. So there's going to be a powerful outlet here when it comes to creativity, whether you can channel what you're feeling into a song, into a poem, into a piece of art, whether you're just expressing the way that you're feeling to other people and really coming from that beautiful, big, vulnerable, open-hearted space. This is going to be the way that we work through this energy. We're alchemizing this on a heart level. And I know that it can be challenging sometimes when I say like show up when those feelings show up in unconditional love, right? Because for a lot of us, maybe we don't really know what that feels like. Maybe we don't know how to show up in unconditional love because some of the stuff that's welling up within us during this full moon and during any of these powerful activation portals, it's the stuff, the icky stuff a lot of times that causes us to have trouble loving ourselves, right? That causes us to struggle with self-acceptance. And so in these moments, call upon your higher self, sink into your heart space and just connect with the energy of your heart. Ask your higher self for assistance and connecting you with that beautiful unconditional love. All right. And in this process, try not to judge yourself. Try not to judge the situation. It can be really hard to do sometimes, but simply the act of suspending judgment of ourselves or others begins to open up that heart space for us. So it's really working with that energy. This is, even though we are dredging up these deep, painful emotions, there's a beautiful heart opening that is happening as a result of this. And we can see this heart healing echoed by the conjunction that Venus made to Chiron just a couple days before this full moon. Venus and Chiron conjunct together at 20 degrees of Aries, which is just 1 degree away from where that solar eclipse happened at 19 degrees of Aries. So a really powerful point in the sky that was reactivated when Venus joined Chiron here. And that energy was sort of like a cracking open of the heart space. So as we're moving through this full moon, we're already in that wide open, cracked open heart space. And remember, the cracks are how the light gets in. All right. So it's allowing for this beautiful sense of vulnerability that begins that process of transmuting and alchemizing these heavy energies. Now, as I alluded to earlier, it's not only these past life experiences that we're going to be working through and releasing, it's going to be current life trauma as well. And it's also going to be an opportunity for our emotional truth to break through. And so this is where anything that we have suppressed within our hearts, any deep emotional truths within us that we have refused to look at, that we have perhaps stuffed down, that we just have been blinded to, right? Because sometimes it's not even a conscious refusal to look. It's just that we are blind to something. It's our blind spot. And so this full moon is going to be bringing up those blind spots when it comes to the truth about how we feel about something in our lives. It could be a person, it could be a job, it could be a state of being, it could be anything. Those deep, oftentimes uncomfortable emotional truths are going to be brought to the surface as well. So there's going to be a lot to work through here and a lot to process for some people. And it's not going to be necessarily something that's processed on a conscious level. Some of this is going to be processed, much of this for many people is going to be processed on an unconscious level. And that's why we want to just hold a lot of compassion for everybody right now, because people that aren't finding videos like this are not going to be aware of what's happening. They're just going to know that they're feeling very triggered. Perhaps they're feeling very unsettled. They're feeling very anxious. They're feeling very emotionally raw and vulnerable. And so hold the space for the people in your life. Allow them to go through their process and try not to take it personally. And if somebody's really struggling and you try to offer them some sort of support and they reject it, like just leave them to their process and allow them to have their space. That's really the kindest and the most loving thing that we can do for people, is allow them to work through some of this on their own, if that's what they're wanting and that's what they're needing to do. We don't want to try to insert ourselves into situations or try to force anything upon someone, even if that thing is our love, because people just may not be very receptive to that. And like I said, people may be very emotionally raw, vulnerable, and triggered. So it's, as people who are aware of what's happening, it's our responsibility not to take that personally. And that brings me to the third thing that people need to know and understand about this full moon. And that is the energy of spiritual responsibility or energetic responsibility. And we can see this energy as we witness Mars in Pisces, who's been moving through some powerful energies as we moved through the month of April. Around the 10th of April, Mars came into conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. And that was a really powerful aspect. And now Mars is moving forward, and on the 28th, Mars will come into conjunction with Neptune in Pisces at 28 degrees of Pisces. So Mars is in this very surreal, very flowy, very Neptunian energy of Pisces. And he's really uncomfortable, generally speaking, in the sign of Pisces. This is not an area where Mars excels. But as Mars is moving through this touch point with Saturn in Pisces, and now this touch point with Neptune in Pisces, he's really getting a deeper understanding of his spiritual responsibilities and of the impact of his energies when it comes to the collective. And I say his, but understand that Mars represents our masculine energy. It represents our will. This is very much a part of our own psyche and a part of our own emotional journey and our own evolutionary journey. So when we're working with this energy, it's really giving us an understanding of how it is that our actions and our decisions impact others, and even more importantly, how they impact the collective whole. And it's asking us to take a much greater responsibility for our energy and for the ways that we use our energy, and to be very thoughtful And to really bring in that energy of compassion, it's also teaching us how to channel these beautiful spiritual ideals and ground them into reality, ground them into the physical world. So it's a really powerful activation that Mars is receiving here that is in a lot of ways also tapping Mars back into its feminine, right? Because Pisces energy is a very feminine energy. It's really honestly at its core an androgynous energy, right? Because it represents unity, it represents the collective whole. But if we had to label it one essence or the other, it would have a more feminine flavor to it. So it's like this initiation into dreamland is how I'm feeling this as I'm describing it right now. That Mars has been going through, sort of moving through his own personal dreamscape, right? Very like looking for that, trying to put into practice that more linear masculine aspect, but not really being able to because Mars is sort of suspended in this, it's like suspended animation in a sense, right? And so when Mars cannot use its typical Aries energy to navigate a situation, Mars is forced to turn back into his intuition. And so there's this beautiful building of the intuition and this beautiful opportunity that we have to learn how to let ourselves be guided by our intuition as we move forward, to allow our actions to be based in those intuitive nudges, those intuitive yearnings, and those intuitive broadcasts and communications from our soul. What's really interesting here is that when Mars comes into conjunction with Neptune on the 28th, they will be doing so in a square to the galactic center. The galactic center is located at 26 or 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's not going to be an exact square, but it's going to be pretty close. And this is really interesting because the galactic center is an area in space that the galaxy appears to rotate around from a certain perception. Many people consider it to be an emanation or a portal of source energy, like pure unadulterated source energy. And so it's really interesting. It's like we're getting this activation, this beautiful cellular activation, this activation of our higher wisdom, right? This it's like a beautiful, I'm trying to feel into what let me get a feel for what this feels like here. It's a surrender. It's a dissolving of the energy of force and a moving into the energy of surrender. So it's like this energy of learning how to be instead of do. And Mars getting a lesson in the fact that you can actually get a lot more done when you move from that space of being than you can when you are just focused on the doing. There's something powerful here that's being unraveled. There's something powerful that's being healed within our masculine energy with this square to the galactic center and with this conjunction to Neptune. And we know we've been talking quite extensively about how this is a powerful year of healing for the divine masculine and the spontaneous awakenings of the divine masculine. And I feel that with this aspect, that this is another one of those touchstones during 2024 where we can see the possibility for that. And we can see sort of like, if we look at it like a soup, and like the ultimate finished product is that awakening of the divine masculine. And remember, this isn't just the gender of masculine, right? This is the divine masculine within each and every single one of us. And so like that's the finished product. But each of these planetary alignments are like priming that energy and like another ingredient that we add to the soup. All right, I hope that analogy kind of worked for people and helped to get across the point that I'm trying to make here. So this is another key point in that process. As Mars comes into conjunction with Neptune in that square to the galactic center, And once again, like we said, there's a powerful energy here. If you guys have not watched the video that I did on Saturn in Pisces, I'm going to link that after this video, because that was a really, really powerful video. And we got into a lot of that energy of taking responsibility for our energy. This means no longer playing the victim. This means taking responsibility as the creators of our reality. And when we can finally do that, of course, that's when we're able to begin to shift our reality. So it's like moving out of that victim mindset, taking creative control out of our reality by owning our part in situations, by owning our energy, and by owning our own evolutionary goals and desires, which once again brings us back full circle to Pluto, who is the ultimate representation, along with the nodes of fate, of that energy. And speaking of the nodes of fate, I am going to share kind of a bonus fact about this full moon. We have Mercury in its final day of retrograde in Aries, in conjunction with the North Node. And so Mercury is retrograde at this point at 16 degrees of Aries. And we have the North Node at 15 degrees of Aries. So they're 1 degree away from each other, but we're still calling this what it is, all right? It is a conjunction, and it is a really powerful check-in point for us. As we've moved through just about the entirety of the Mercury retrograde, Mercury stationing direct on the 24th, right? 42424, the full moon being on 42324, just playing with those numbers again. And so this is a check-in point. Is there anything left that we missed? That's what Mercury in retrograde conjunct the North Node wants us to look at, especially when it comes to our evolutionary journey at this point, working with those Aries energies. So these are the energies of empowerment, Mars energies again, right? Aries being, of course, ruled by Mars. Our empowerment, our will, our purpose, where it is that we're striving to get, the goals that we are striving towards, and how it is that we've evolved in this process. This process of being assertive, this process in going after what we want, knowing that we're worthy of that, learning how to put ourselves first in the situations where it is important to know how to do so. All of these different things. So there's a check-in point here. And whatever it is that we've been working on in our own spiritual growth regarding these Aries and Mars energies, there's going to be a last minute opportunity. Well, we always have an opportunity, but an opportunity here to say, what did I miss? What else could be adjusted? Where could my approach be adjusted? Where could my perspective be adjusted? What can I tweak a little bit more in order to be in more alignment with where it is that I'm going, with how it is that I'm moving forward at this time? So that's just another fun thing there. I think I forgot, I got distracted with the galactic center. All of this stuff with Mars and Neptune is also happening in a loose sextile to Jupiter and Uranus, who just had their powerful conjunction in the sign of Taurus. And I will link that video for you guys at the end of this video too, if you haven't checked that out. I actually have two. I have a tarot reading that I did on this, as well as a video about the evolutionary energies. And they are both excellent. It's so important to be working with this energy. This is a brand new 12 to 14 year cycle that we are starting here in regard to these Uranus and Jupiter energies, which are all about expansion, abundance, innovation. I mean, it's powerful, powerful stuff. So we see there's a lot of ingredients in this soup here, to go back to that analogy, that are really giving us an opportunity to perform some powerful karmic clearing, to let go of and release some deeply ingrained traumas and the corresponding belief systems that no longer serve us, and really upgrade our frequency as a result of what it is that we're releasing, what it is that we're letting go, what it is that we're allowing to dissolve. Remember, Plutonic energy and Scorpionic energy ruling that 8th house. This is all about death and rebirth. So as we're moving through this full moon portal, there is something that is dying so that something else can be born. Some aspect of the self, some level of ego death, some level of even like, I mean, when we're looking at these past life memories, these traumas that are resurfacing, that's a beautiful thing to be letting go of. That's a beautiful thing to be letting die, is the attachment to that energy, to that trauma signature and everything else, every other experience that we had as a result of that, where we were reliving these cycles. So letting go of the stories associated with that, letting go of all of that energy so that we can step into a brand new, like not just a brand new cycle when it comes to this lifetime, but when it comes to like the multidimensionality of us, which is fucking huge. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment down below and let me know. If you are still watching this video, you are definitely part of the tribe. So I encourage you to click subscribe and let me know how you guys are feeling these energies. You know, I always want to know how you are feeling this and how these energies are lining up for you. We have a Patreon going right now. If you guys want to join that, we are going to be doing a live call on the full moon, which is occurring on a Tuesday. So that's going to be a really powerful one. And if you want the link to the Patreon, that is in the description box below. Perhaps I will see some of you there. As I mentioned, I am offering all different types of services as well. If you guys are drawn to work with me one-on-one, I just opened up one-on-one coaching sessions, and those are going to be really, really powerful. So if you guys want to book a discovery call with me to decide whether or not that is a fit for you, please reach out to me. That is where I work intensely one-on-one with you every single week for 3 months to help you to align your energy, to align your frequency, to step into your sovereignty, to move through some of these defeating belief systems and habits and patterns, and really align yourself with your highest and most organic timeline. So I'm really excited to see who's going to take advantage of that. I have an introductory, I have 4 introductory spots for that, is what I'm trying to say there. All right, and all the other things that I offer too: entity removal sessions, past life regression, quantum healing sessions, Reiki, angelic healing sessions, tarot astrology, all of the things. I'll talk to you guys soon.